Howdy. Howdy ho, and welcome to Fantasy Fanfellas. I'm Hayden, producer of the Fantasy Fangirls podcast and lover of all things Sanderson.
And I'm Steven, your assistant to the regional Hayden and lover of all things fantasy.
Woo!
Welcome back, my
baby.
friends.
We are like Leo DiCaprio in Wolf of Wall Street. I'm not leaving! And we are here today to dive so incredibly deep into chapters 1 through 6 of Brandon Sanderson's Well of Ascension, the second book in the first Mistborn trilogy. A quick reminder, I am serving as your professor of all things Sanderson to not only the audience, but also to this handsome devil over here, Steven, because he has not read the Mistborn trilogy before.
That's right, hey. So this podcast will only have spoilers for the chapters we read each episode, which means if you have finished Mistborn and are just now starting Well of Ascension, this is the podcast for you.
And folks, we have an announcement today. We are so excited to announce that the Fantasy Fanfellas will be joining the Fantasy Fangirls Fan Club.
Moving on up.
What does that mean, you might be asking? That is a lot of F's in one sentence. Well, it means that if you are looking for a way to directly support the show, you now have a way to do that. What is the Fantasy Fan Club, you ask? Well, it is our one-stop shop for all things exclusive content on the Fantasy Fangirls Media Network. And as of today, there is a tier specifically for the Fantasy Fanfellas listeners, where we can all join together in the pig and shit and have a good old time.
Amen, said Pastor Sayzed.
So, for $8 a month, you will get access to a private Discord community where you can connect with your fellow fans and Steven and I directly. You'll also be added to our close friend stories on Instagram for behind-the-scenes peeks on what goes on a day-to-day basis with the Fantasy Fanfellas. Plus, you can join us for our monthly community events like live Q&As with Steven and I. And lastly, you'll get each and every episode a day early, and you'll get them ad-free. So when we start talking about MeUndies and all that stuff, you don't have to listen to that.
No, and if you call right now, Hayden will send you a picture of his feet.
I need to add that to the benefit list. Yeah, I'll go. Just give me a minute.
Maybe that's more of a cons list. I don't know. I've never seen your feet. The night is young, though.
And the other great thing about the fan club is we're also going to be adding some tiers as well that give you benefits for all the different shows under the Fantasy Fangirls Media Network. More information on that to come, but we just wanted to let our fans of the show know that you have a new way to directly support the show. We also have Fantasy Fanfellas merch, and we're going to be working on a new drop here coming up soon, so be on the lookout for pig and shit merch, all that kind of stuff, and Steven is doing a great job of modeling it as we speak. You can check it out in the link in the show notes to go ahead and buy yourself a late Christmas gift. Okay, Steven, it's your time. Please, burn your medals.
Ka-chink.
And let us know. You're rusty. A little slow on the reflexes.
Sorry, I was thinking about other things. I need to burn my pewter before we start this.
Okay, let us know, from your perspective, what happened in chapters 1 through 6 of Well of Ascension.
Chapter 1. Our book boy, King Ellie, is looking out over an army and feeling hopeless, like me, on January 2nd every year. Our Lady Vin is meeting with the shape-shifting Kandra, and they're talking about the Watcher, who they have never met, but apparently seems to have an interest in Vin. Possible love triangle, hopefully? Chapter 2. Vin is getting chased by some assassins. 8 assassins, and she starts killing them off like the boss queen she is, and the Watcher is there, watching. Hence the name, and at one point he saves her. Possible love triangle in the future, maybe, hopefully? Then she's able to kill the assassins, and then the Kandra shows up, and he's like, nice kills. I believe I'll eat one. Huh? Come again, Kandra? More like Cannibalandra. And Vin is like, you can't eat them, they have gluten, or whatever. Chapter 3, Vin sees a shadowy figure in the mist, and Elend thinks about his father. Hashtag daddy issues. Apparently he got the milk and the cigarettes and is coming back to take control of the city. Then Vin and Ellie chat. They both love each other, which is cute. But she denied his marriage proposal, which is a bummer. Women. Am I right, Ellie boy? Then Pork Boy, a.k.a. Ham, shows up to chat with Elend, which, by the way, I was wrong about Ham. He seems to be a good character. Chapter 4, enter Pastor Sayzed. He's chatting with some leathery fella about a dead body, as you do, I guess. And then he buries the body, and as a good pastor does, he says a quick prayer. Hashtag laser tag on Friday. Chapter 5, back to Vin, who is contemplating her life, like me, on January 2nd every year. Then she goes to buy a wolf. Okay, calm down, Jon Snow. And then convinces the merchant to sell it to her by punching the wolf in the face. And then she goes to the cannibal Andra like, all right, weirdo, eat this. And by the way, Vin, we're going to talk about your abuse of animals later in this podcast. Chapter 6, Elend is watching Vin and Bacon Boy spar off. And he and some others are taking bets on who will win. And Spook is there, who has had a nice little glow up like Jacob in Twilight 2. And Spook asks Elend about picking up girls. It's a good guy to ask. And then Vin and Elend go to see the cannibal Andra, who is now a wolf, which means the wolf pup is dead. And I hate it here.
Wow. You are in mid-season form already, Steven. That was an excellent recap. One thing I noticed about these chapters that I kind of forgot my first time around was these chapters feel shorter than Mistborn. There's like about 60 chapters in Well of Ascension. There was about 35 or so in Mistborn, but the book is about the same length. So these chapters are quite a bit shorter. Oh, is it about
the same length?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, we're still greasing our wheels, as the kids say, at this point. We're still getting a little recap, filling out the characters, getting some introduction. You know what I like about the second book in a good series is when they reintroduce the characters slowly. So whenever Pastor Sazed comes up in chapter 4, I'm like, ooh, I love you. I'm excited to see you. They don't shove it all in chapter 1. They space it out. Give a little excitement, you know?
I think it would be a good idea for us to do a quick recap of what happened in book 1, because there was quite a bit that went on. So if you could give us a quick recap in your own words of what happened, that'd be great.
It'll be off the cuff now because you're putting me on the spot. Here's what I will say, listener or viewer. If you haven't listened to season 1, go back and listen to season 1. I think there's a lot of interesting things in there. But if you want to skip it, I'll give you a quick rundown. So we have this guy named Kelsier, right? And I like to call him K-Cup for some reason because it's easy for my simple brain. So we got K-Cup, who is a Mistborn, basically. And he's running through, doing all these things. The book ends, spoiler alert, with him freaking dying. And I would like to give props to Brandy Sandy, the author, in saying this. If you kill off the main character in book 1, you better have enough characters to keep us going for book 2. And he has certainly done that. I wanted to read book 2, even though they killed off K-Cup, which is the best character. Well, second best character because of Vin in book 1. So props to what did you think about that?
I mean, I thought I was shocked when it happened. And I think not because the fact that Kelsier died, it's the way that it happened.
Yeah.
We had all this build up to his final confrontation with the Lord Ruler. And the Lord Ruler just literally bitch slaps him and then stabs him in the chest with a spear. So it was super anticlimactic. But the fact that was all a part of Kelsier's plan. That was just step 1.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it was a masterstroke by Sanderson and really impressive for him to thread that needle so early in his writing career.
So we have Kelsier, whose basic goal in book 1 is to take down what's called the Lord Ruler, who we don't know much about. He's a mythical, ethereal figure that we don't find out till the end. And basically, he's an evil guy, right? And then he picks up this other Mistborn along the way, whose name is Vin, and he wants to use her as a spy. So she starts going to these balls, trying to gather intel to help Kelsier build his army to take over the Lord Ruler. Now, in the background, Kelsier has this complete different idea of what he wants to do. He doesn't tell everybody because he wants to keep these secrets so they can't be spewed out and eventually the Lord Ruler know about them, seemingly. So he does all these things, and he gathers this team of people, like a metal-sniffing Avengers, if you will. And then by the end of the book, some of the things he wanted to do, he does, but he ends up sacrificing himself and starting basically a religion around him as this martyr, or as this, I guess, Christ-like figure in that people still believe he's alive in some sense, but they're following him because he died for the greater good.
Exactly.
Along the way, we have this different magic system, which relies solely on metals and how people use them. So to this point, there's like 11 metals that we learn about, and they all give you different attributes. I digest them. You can burn your metals, or you can flare them, which is basically just using them quicker, but you have a little bit different. You use them differently when you flare them, I guess. Does it give you more power or less power?
Yeah, it just amplifies the power, basically.
But you have it for a less amount of time.
Yeah, exactly. You're going to use it more quickly.
Yeah. So in this world, there's mistings, which are people that can only use one of these metals, and you have mistborns that can use really any of the metals.
Yep, exactly. I mean, I think that was pretty succinct. The only thing that we didn't really cover in there was, of course, Vin's relationship with Elend, a noble-born guy who has some different ideas of what society should look like relative to his noble kinsman. And once the Lord Ruler dies, he takes up a kingship in his place. There's also Sazed, my favorite character in this series.
How did I bypass
come on.
I would have got there eventually, but I'm glad you're talking about it.
It was insulting, but we'll move on. So Sazed essentially is a terraceman. Essentially, they are the keepers of the memories and the culture of this world. But they had all been essentially kind of put into these breeding programs by the Lord Ruler to kind of control the population. And so essentially Sazed, his mission in life is to bring back the old religions that existed before the Lord Ruler's reign started 1,000 years ago. And so that's essentially where we kind of left off with Mistborn.
The big twist at the end of the book is that during the entire book, each chapter begins with an epigraph, and you really don't know who's writing the epigraph. By the end of it, you realize, okay, this is the Lord Ruler writing these epigraphs. And so we try to figure out throughout the book why the Lord Ruler is all of a sudden evil when the epigraphs point to him being a good person.
Yeah.
But we find out that the Lord Ruler is actually not the Lord Ruler. It's the terraceman who was the Lord Ruler's side guy or whatever, who killed the future Lord Ruler and became the Lord Ruler and is the evil guy. That was a big twist for me. I should have saw it coming, but I didn't.
No, I truly think that, like, I would guess like 90% of people, me included, think, oh, this is the Lord Ruler.
Yeah.
Like, as you're reading through it.
And that's the author obviously wants you to believe that. And from now on, Brandy Sandy, wherever you're leading me, I'm not going to believe it. Fool me once, shame on me. Or how's it go? I don't know. Stop fooling me. Shame to you. There we go.
Fool me once, I'll keep reading. Fool me twice, I'll keep reading even more.
Yeah. Fool me 3 times, you have my attention for eternity.
So I think also another thing to keep in mind as we move into the Well of Ascension is what we know about the allomantic metals that Mistborn and Mistings work with to give themselves their power. So far, we have 8 main metals that are kind of your run-of-the-mill, everyday metals that most Mistings and Mistborn are going to use. And
Basic
keep in mind here, there is a push and a pull for every metal. So, for example, steel is used to push on nearby metals, while iron is used to pull on nearby metals.
And this basically has people taking flight. It's more like a Spider-Man jumping through the sky.
Exactly.
But you can push up and pull down and all kinds of things to where you're basically flying through the air.
Exactly. Then you have internal metals like pewter and tin. Pewter increases your physical abilities. It makes you stronger, makes you have more endurance. You can take more hits effectively through pewter. Or tin, which increases your senses. So if you're someone who is like, keeping an eye out on someone, if you're a watch for something, you are able to see farther. You're able to hear more clearly. But it kind of has a double-edged sword to where any sound is going to be amplified many, many times. So if someone bangs a metal bat on the wall next to you, it's really going to hurt your ears.
I didn't think about that.
Or if you look up into the sun, it's just that much brighter because your senses are enhanced. Then we have zinc and brass. These are interesting because they work on the emotions of other people. Zinc inflames or riots emotions. So let's say you're among a crowd and you really want to work them up. You can point out a specific emotion to inflame for them. Or brass, which dampens or soothes emotions. So maybe you're in a heated argument and you want to get everything cooled off a little bit. Use some brass and dampen that emotion so that you can kind of just chill things out. Then we have 2 metals that are used to kind of help you either hide yourself from other allomancers or seek out other allomancers. Copper allows you to hide yourself from allomantic pulses, while bronze makes it to where you can hear allomantic pulses. The interesting thing with this is that copper creates what people call a copper cloud, to where no allomancer should be able to sense your allomancy when you're using it. However, we have learned that Vin is actually able to pierce these copper clouds by using bronze, and she can hear faint pulses of allomancy through a copper cloud. So that's just something to clock and keep in mind as we move forward.
Yeah, she seems to be more powerful than the average Mistborn, especially Kelsier.
Yeah.
Unless Kelsier wasn't telling everything, but I think by the end of his story, we knew most about him.
Yeah, she has a little something extra. We also have a few other metals that we got introduced to very late in the story. We have aluminum, which really just kind of wipes all of your internal allomantic reserves. We saw this happen to Vin when she was imprisoned by the Lord Ruler, and they gave her aluminum, and all of the metals that she had stored went away. There's also gold, which is an interesting one, because what it does is it reveals your past self. Essentially, you see a different version of yourself and a different way that things could have been, essentially. So it doesn't have any like battle ramifications, but it can tell you a lot about a person.
I feel like that's the worst one if I was to use it on myself. I don't want to see my past self. Go away. I feel good now. Don't remind me of how shitty I was.
Yeah, I would just want to talk to my past self and be like, dude, don't wear the boat shoes. Stop wearing the plaid shorts.
Oh, don't get that chili bowl haircut, kiddo.
Then we have atium. And atium is essentially the most valuable metal in the series. What it does is this. It allows you to see the future choices and actions of someone that you're interacting with. So, for example, let's say that Steven and I are fighting, and I start burning atium. I'm going to see different shadow versions of Steven come out that show me what he's going to do next. So it's going to give me that leg up. But if Steven were to burn atium himself, then things would get super confusing. I'd see hundreds of different shadows all happening at the same time, so there'd be no way for me to decipher what he's actually going to do next.
You basically have to wait for somebody to mess up somehow, or somebody's ATM to run out.
Yeah, exactly. And then we have what is called the 11th metal. Now, this is what Kelsier spent the entire book espousing as the thing that was going to help him defeat the Lord Ruler. But it acts a lot like gold in so many ways. But it was the thing that helped Vin to realize that the Lord Ruler was actually a terrorism. He was not the person who wrote the epigraphs. He was the person who killed the person who wrote the epigraphs.
Now that's confusing. No, yeah, I get it.
So anyways, that's a quick breakdown. I mean, quick is a relative term. Breakdown of the different allomantic metals in our story. And now it is time for my one big word for this stretch of chapters. And my one big word is belonging. The Lord Ruler is defeated. But Brandon wastes no time in establishing that that doesn't just mean that everything is fine and dandy, especially with Vin. She still struggles with the sense of belonging she faced last book, but in a different way. This time, she isn't sure if she belongs in her relationship with Elend. She's still searching for ways to bring herself down, to tell herself that she is still just the street urchin that she used to be, and that she doesn't deserve a king like Elend. What's more is her relationship with the broader public. She's looked at as a hero, the one who killed the Lord Ruler. But inside, she really just thinks it was just a stroke of luck.
Yeah, although book one kind of ties a nice little bow around Elend and Vin, it really doesn't at the same time. If you continue in book two, you're like, okay, we still got problems. We still have to work through a bunch of things. And I like that. I don't want everything to be perfect.
Well, what I love about this series so much is it asks things that typically are not talked about after a book is done. So, for example, one, when you defeat the big bad guy, what happens next? Like, things are not automatically all going to be fixed. And the characters that we love have to live with that moving forward. Yeah. And then second, when the couple ends up together in the end, they aren't just frozen in time in this perpetual happiness. They're in a real relationship that has real challenges. And we get to see that moving forward.
Although this is a fantasy series, it's very real world oriented.
Yeah, for sure.
Even the magic system that Brandon creates, he does a good job of playing by his own rules and making it realistic feeling.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, Steven, it's time to don our mist cloaks and dive so deep into chapters 1 through 6 of Well of Ascension. Steven, can you please read the epigraph for chapter 1?
Here we go again. I write these words in steel, for anything not set in metal cannot be trusted. Who said that? Was it the Lord Ruler? I have no idea. It's not.
Some things never change. Is every single episode we're going to get who wrote that?
I mean, it can't. We're not revisiting the old Lord Ruler, are we? This has got to be something else we're playing up toward.
Yeah, I mean, honestly,
you know what? I can't wait for.
What?
I can't wait for Daddy Vague to come back.
Oh
and
my!
just fool me
listen.
along the way. You and your power trip, and you love every second of it.
Yeah, exactly. So, Stephen, I'm just curious. Like, this is a weird way to start the book. I write these words in steel. For anything not set in metal cannot be trusted.
Yeah.
What do you make of that?
Right off, it feels like I wrote it because I already have trust issues, as we have discovered throughout the first season. So this is me writing it. I'm the epigraph writer somehow.
Well, we are in Elend's POV, which is interesting. I'm trying to remember. Did we have an Elend POV in the first book?
We did. And I was very excited when we switched to it because that was the moment we found out for sure that Elend wasn't a bad guy. Because up to that point, I was thinking maybe he's two-faced, but I don't know for sure because all we have is Kelsier and Vin's POV. And then we switched to Elend, and I'm like, okay, I can sleep soundly now.
You're totally right. I love the use of changing POVs as a literary tool because we were so used to Vin and Kelsier as the POVs for the whole book. And then all of a sudden, we have Elend. It's really interesting.
Which is another showing the mastery of Brandon Sanderson, that he's able to write from different perspectives. I've read some books, and I won't name any names, but even when it switches POV, it sounds like the same character.
Right.
But he's able to draw a distinction in the way he writes it and the tone and all that good stuff to where you actually feel different characters.
Well, and it's in third person, so he doesn't even have the benefit of writing in first person where it's a little bit easier to write in a different voice.
That's true. Yeah, but he does a good job of drawing that distinction for the reader or the listener.
Absolutely. We are on the Luthadel city wall with none other than King Elend Venture. Quote, King Elend Venture stood motionless upon the Luthadel city wall, looking out at the enemy troops. Around him, ash fell from the sky in fat, lazy flakes. It wasn't the burnt white ash that one saw in dead coals. This was a harsher black ash. The ash mounds had been particularly active lately.
So, at the end of book 1, the Lord Ruler alludes to the idea, even though he's an evil guy, he was alluding to the idea that what he was doing was still helpful for humanity.
He said, You
not don't know what you've done.
Yeah, you don't know what I do for you, essentially.
Yes, you don't know what I do for you. Yes, he took some rather unconventional routes to get to this.
Slavery, murder, all that kind of
all
stuff.
the bad things you do as a tyrant. But in his mind, he's saving the world from something. And we get a glimpse now, okay, things seem to be getting worse and they should be getting better. So what is the real enemy out there?
Yeah. Everybody is the hero of their own story, as is often the case. And I think it's a really astute observation that the ash mounts are getting a little bit more active. Even the ash is not like it quite used to be. And I also love that we get a callback to the first line of the first book, Ash Fell from the Sky. I feel like there is a level of parallelism between Elend and Lord Trusting, where, listen, we know that Elend is a good guy.
I forgot about Trusting. Trusting was a nobleman, right?
Exactly, and he was an asshole.
Yeah.
But Elend is a good guy, but he has all of this power thrust upon him. And I think that maybe Brandon is pointing out that everyone is always living on the nice edge of being the good version of themselves and the bad version of themselves. Just because somebody's a good guy doesn't mean that when they're given power that they're going to stay exactly the same. I'm not saying that we're going to have a villain arc for Elend, but I think it's something that he has to keep in mind. Are you saying that?
You know the future. You better not be. Are you?
I didn't say either way.
I'm going to write it down and think about it later.
So anyways, all that being said, I think it's something that he has to keep in mind as he's given this power that he liked to talk about hypothetically in book 1. And we get a very quick orientation of the current circumstances. Like I said, Elend is king, but by just a thread. And he's looking over the wall at an army of 50,000 soldiers ready to take over Luthadel, led by none other than Lord Butthole himself, Straff Venture, his dad.
Oh, Papa Butthole. I don't like the Papa, but that sounds weird. I'll take that back instantly. Let's go with Lord Butthole.
To reference the RPG session that we had over Christmas, Straff Venture is a ripe asshole. Ham, the only crew member on the wall with Elend, asks if maybe he can talk Daddy V out of the attack. But the main concern is actually whether the, quote, assembly would rather just surrender the city to Strath anyway. So this is interesting because if you remember, Elend was very interested in different kinds of governments, ones that he would like to implement if the Lord Ruler was gone. And so we've already gotten a look into like, oh, so he started to build some form of representative government in this short time as king. Oh, and by the way, much of the crew is strewn about the land. Dachshund just got back today, Spook won't be back for another week, and Breeze apparently is off gallivanting doing his own Breeze thing. We don't really know.
He's like a fart in the breeze.
Yeah. Essentially, a lot has changed in the years since Kelsier's death and the fall of the final empire.
That's one thing we didn't say is that it's been a year.
It's been a year.
Book 2 starts a year later than Book 1.
Exactly.
Where Book 1 ended, it's a year later.
Yeah, and the fact that this new government doesn't seem to have a real handle on itself in that amount of time is a little bit concerning.
It's concerning, but it just kind of shows Elend specifically that, you know, he has theories of what a good government is, but now he's putting them into practice.
Yeah.
Who knows what's the best option? Is there a best option?
Yeah, I mean, he's, to your point, he's a theorist. He's never had to be a leader before. There's so many soft skills that go into being a leader that these books could never really teach you. We are now in Vin's POV. Vin is on her usual Vin shit, sulking through the streets of Luthadel in the mist-filled night. Vin pushes a coin through the air with steel, which apparently was some sort of signal to none other than someone named Orsur. And who is Orsur, you'd ask? Well, he's the Khandra who impersonated Lord Renew last book. And if you remember, his contract of service was willed to Vin when Kelsier died. Now, the two of them are just about to head back to the wall to meet with Elend, and Vin is just a bit disappointed. You see, she was hoping to run into someone she calls the Watcher, who she's been sparring with in recent days. Now, Steven, as this idea of the Watcher started to get introduced coming from Romantasy, I mean, what was turning in your mind in this moment?
If this was Romantasy, there's no way this is not some sort of potential love interest
for
someone who's going to try to break apart the main love interest that was in Book 1.
And he's going to be the hottest piece this side of the Mississippi River.
Hey, to bring up ACOTAR, for those of you that have read it, I mean, spoilers. Book 1, you have a potential path. Book 2 brings in another potential path. And then there's this, who am I going to choose kind of thing. Like a Jacob and Edward kind of a deal. I mean, if this was Romantasy, that's where we're headed with this character. And it may still be a wrench in this relationship. At least, I don't know if it's me perceiving it based on having read Romantasy so recently, or if it's something the author is trying to push on me.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, that makes sense. I mean, it's interesting too, though, because the difference with ACOTAR, not to get into spoilers, is in Book 2, when those questions start arising, Feyre is not exactly thrilled with the relationship that she's currently in. Whereas with Vin, it's more of a, she knows Elend is a great guy. He makes her feel safe, but does she belong with him?
Yeah. Well, the questions are still arising. I guess that's the point. And I think it's more of she looks at her as the character flaw rather than Elend. But as we've seen in other books and even movies, sometimes the good guys aren't always the ones they go for.
Yeah. Nice guys finish last.
It's not always the case anymore. I think nice guys are pretty top notch now because the playing field is so horrible for people in general. But
are men okay? Is the real question. So anyways, as I was saying, she's a little bit disappointed that the Watcher didn't show up, but all of a sudden, a burst of coins shoot towards them. All right, Steven, that was a quick first chapter. Let us know the epigraph for chapter 2.
I have begun to wonder if I'm the only sane man left. Amen, brother. Can the others not see? They have been waiting for so long for their hero to come, the one spoken of in Terra's prophecies, that they quickly jump to conclusions, presuming that each story and legend applies to this one man. Who said that? I wonder who said that. Was it somebody of importance later? Probably. Because the book is called The Well of Ascension, and we know vaguely of the Well of Ascension.
We've had it. It's been mentioned in the logbook from Book 1.
Yes. And we know a little bit about it. Say the Lord Ruler who became the Lord Ruler visited this Well of Ascension. We don't know much of what happened there. Seemingly it's like a cauldron moment. If it's just another callback to ACOTAR.
Yeah.
You jump in the cauldron, you come out magical powers. It seems, I don't know if that's what it is though. It's a vague thing, but we know that it gives you some sort of power.
That's the idea is everything changed the moment that the Lord Ruler went into the Well of Ascension. The idea is that it gave him his powers.
Yeah. And maybe that's just something that it's falsely alluding to.
Yeah.
I don't know. But we know that this book will hopefully give us answers since it's called The Well of Ascension.
So on to chapter 2. Turns out those coins did not come from the Watcher because 8 men are emerging from the mists. Okay, yeah, this is not some cute sparring session. This is like the real deal. But hey, Ven is a Mistborn. These are just your run-of-the-mill mistings, so her odds aren't that bad, right? Hilarious quote here. Quote, 8 mistings. Kelsier could have done it. He'd killed an Inquisitor. She wasn't Kelsier. She had yet to decide if that was a bad or a good thing. I love that Ven is aware that, like, while she misses Kelsier and while she looks up to him in a lot of ways, he was kind of a fucked up dude in the end.
Yeah, I mean, for good reason if you go dig into his past. Not for good reason, but for reasons.
Yeah, the whole, like, leaving dead people on people's yards and stuff like that, I mean, is a little bit questionable. I love how we get a look into Ven's mind as she's having this fight. Quote, yes, Ven thought, I know what you're thinking. This is the Mistborn who killed the Lord Ruler? This scrawny thing? Can it be possible? I wonder the same thing myself. I mean, this is just so great. I really think that Brandon writes Ven so incredibly well. She's this perfect mix of badass and completely self-deprecating and self-doubting.
Well, it's so realistic in that sense. So if I was given these magical powers, or at least discovered them later in life, I would still have the mental patterns of my previous existence, right?
Exactly.
I still have these self-deprecating thoughts. It doesn't just go away overnight. And when they do that in books, it brushes past the reality that would exist.
Well, and that goes back to the trouble with her self-esteem that she's having is, like, you know, as someone who has dealt with insecurities in my past, especially when it comes to, like, romantic relationships, when you have a set of core beliefs that you have about yourself that are instilled in you by a partner, when you move on to a better partner who makes you feel safe and all those things, that doesn't mean that those little insecurities aren't going to keep nagging away at you. It takes time to rebuild those neural pathways for you to stop having those thoughts. And this is literally exhibited with Ven.
Yeah, that's called limiting beliefs.
Yes.
If you're a fan of psychology or self-help books. Limiting. And she has a lot of them apparently right now.
As Ven is tearing through this 8-on-1 battle, she notices a silhouetted figure in the distance and her fears just for a moment. There is the Watcher. And even just his silhouette is sexy, right, Steven?
Oh, yeah. He's like, you ever seen those TikToks where, like, they're standing normal and they hit the door frame and then they go into a silhouette?
Oh, my God. Yes.
That's what he is right now. He's just door frame silhouette boy.
Yeah, all those are a jump scare for sure. This is a trope I absolutely love. The mysterious figure watching on in the background. It feels like very anime to me. By now, Ven has taken down 4 mistings, but all of a sudden, the Watcher sends a coin hurtling through the group smoker's head, killing them. Whoever the Watcher is now fully helping out Ven, which is interesting because, you know, in Ven's mind, right, as she's going through these nightly running sessions or leaping sessions or whatever, if she runs into a silhouetted figure who's kind of creepy and you don't know who they are, you assume that they're an enemy. But then she's been having these interactions with this guy throughout the past few days, and now he's helping her in a battle. It's like, dude, what is your deal?
Yeah. I mean, my mind goes to some of the romance books I read in 2025 where the silhouetted dude who's basically a stalker becomes the love interest. And so I don't think that's where we're going with this.
That's so romantic.
But that's what it's giving right now. It's like, ooh, he's brooding and dark and he's going to try to kidnap
stalking
me.
That's so sweet.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus. Don't stalk people, folks. Okay.
No. Hashtag don't actually stalk people.
Yeah, just want to be clear on that I'm not pro-stalking. But something weird happens. When Ven burns bronze to sense the newly revealed Allomancers in the area, she still can't sense them. meaning there's still another smoker, which means one of the Mistings has more than one power, which means one of them is actually a Mistborn. So we're not talking about 8 Mistings versus 1 Mistborn. We're talking about 1 Mistborn versus another Mistborn and 7 Mistings.
Yeah, which is a game changer right there.
Yeah, not good, not good. Vin orders Orsur to give her a single bead of atium. By burning it, she's not only able to have a leg up on the Mistings, she's also able to reveal which is the Mistborn due to the multiple atium shadows emanating from them. So let's touch on this moment where Vin doesn't really care about Orsur getting hit by the coins here. This is problematic, and I think it's indicative of what we're going to see later down the line. Quote, "He turned, pulling a group of coins up off the ground, then shot them, not toward Vin, but toward Orsur, who still stood in the mouth of an alleyway. The Mistborn obviously hoped that Vin's concern for her servant would draw her attention away, perhaps letting him escape. He was wrong. Vin ignored the coins, dashing forward. Even as Orsur cried out in pain, a dozen coins piercing his skin, Vin threw her staff at the Mistborn's head. Once it left her fingers, its atium shadow became firm and singular." Okay. This is the first of many, many L's that we're going to have to give to Vin in this stretch of chapters. We're going to touch on why she doesn't trust or like Orsur later, but she has no regard for him or any pain he might be going
he's
through.
just a slave, basically.
Kind of the exact opposite of what she was fighting against in the first book. So this is a rough look for Vin.
Yeah, but then again, she's probably still bitter about her mentor, Kelsier, dying. And she's also kind of needing to fill a void of a mentor. She doesn't really have a mentor right now, so she's on her own. And I guess she's really relying on the tools that Kelsier gave her, but he didn't give her all the tools.
We'll talk about this now then. She mentions that part of the reason she doesn't like or trust him is because she can't forget that he ate Kelsier's remains in order to impersonate him at the end of the book.
Yeah, that's why I call him the Cannibal Andra.
The Cannibal Andra. I mean, listen, I get it. It's weird. But at the same time, he was literally following Kelsier's orders. What is he supposed to do?
I mean, it has an ick factor to it. I don't want to hang out with a cannibal. But,
True. So Vin is able to outlast the other Mistborn's atium and kill him. The group of assassins are all dead. And the Watcher is still perched above, observing. And after another moment, he jumps away into the misty night. Vin and Orsur's interaction at the end of the chapter is, again, problematic, but also indicative of a lot of things. Quote, "He looked up at her. 'What?' he asked. 'I didn't expect there to be blood.'" I think this is a moment of guilt from Vin. It's like, oh, he actually can feel pain, and there are consequences to that.
Yeah, he's not just some thing to use. He's a person.
He's not a punching bag.
Yeah.
Or sure.
I will say this, though. I like the fact that his name is Othur, which sounds, by the way, like a dish. Can I get an Othur, please?
I'm going to be honest.
Tartar sauce.
The first time I read this, I was so perplexed by this name that when I was reading it, I would just skip over the name entirely because I didn't even want to try to figure out how to pronounce it in my head.
It looks like Orsus, kind of, when you look at it.
I know. I was like, what? And then the capital letter in the middle of the name, it's like, oh, what is that? Yeah. Orsur snorted.
I'm glad it's that and not something like, Jerry, something normal.
It's
going to be
Jerry the Conjura.
Weird and different. Jerry the Cannibal Andra.
Orsur snorted. "You probably didn't expect me to feel pain either." Then opened her mouth, then hesitated. In truth, she hadn't ever thought about it. Then she hardened herself. "What right does this thing have to chastise me?"
There was a moment it peeked out. Oh, a good no, I'm going to have to shove that way down.
Yeah. "It was my duty, mistress," Orsur said, grunting as he pulled his broken body up against the side of the alleyway. "I was charged with your protection by Master Kelsier. As always, I serve the contract." "Ah, yes, the almighty contract," said Vin. She doesn't let him take the bones of the assassin. Instead, she says that she'll have to find another body for him. Now, this was Vin's last bead of atium. Next time she comes up against a Mistborn, she'll be vulnerable. So that's a big problem.
I like Othur. I like this character. And I don't like Vin's hatred of him. Hopefully that works out in the future. But he seems to have her best interest in mind, obviously based on the contract. But he's still doing everything that she needs him to do. So
yeah,
props
exactly.
to him.
And Elend is going to make a point later that like a Kandra is the best kind of servant you can have. They're going to do whatever you ask them to do because they serve this almighty contract, so to speak. And the other thing is, too, is what I love about Orsur here is that we get the insight that there's more going on for him inside his brain than you might expect of like your typical kind of like sidekick servant character situation. Yeah. He is willing to kind of be sarcastic and a little bit standoffish with Vin. Just because he's serving her, it doesn't mean that he has to like pretend like she's the best.
Yeah, you know what's interesting, and I just thought of this. It's drawing a parallel between who Vin was, because she was a Skaw, and there was prejudice surrounding her. She was hated.
Yeah.
And now she finds herself in a place of power and has become the person extending the same prejudice that she received as a younger person.
Yes, she's perpetuating that same cycle. And I don't even think she recognizes that she's doing that.
No.
So, Steven, please give us the epigraph for chapter 3.
My brethren ignore the rest of the facts. They cannot connect the other strange things that are happening. They're deaf to my objections and blind to my discoveries. Who said that, Hayden? That should be on a shirt. Who said that? It just quotes.
Yeah, I need to write that one down. Yeah, I mean, this is interesting. I mean, the thing about these epigraphs throughout all of Brandon's books is when you start out, you have no leg to stand on.
Good.
You can't even begin to reason what this could possibly mean. And then you read it a second time, and you're like, oh my God. Here it was this whole time. We are back in Elend's POV, and bro is going through it. Turns out running a representative government is tougher than he thought it would be in theory. The Assembly, as it's called, has known about the oncoming army for weeks, but there's so much quibbling between the different factions that action is becoming impossible. Weird. I've never heard of this in real life before.
Oh, have you not? Are you sure?
The biggest threat right now to Elend's reign is the faction that just wants to up and surrender the city to Straff. So Elend is trying to pass a bill that would allow him time to at least speak to his father first. What do you think of this inner conflict that Elend is having in his head? Quote, sometimes Elend wondered if the Lord Ruler had been right. Not in oppressing the people, of course, but in retaining all the power for himself. The final empire had been nothing if not stable. It had lasted 1,000 years, weathering rebellions, maintaining a stronghold on the world. The Lord Ruler was immortal, though, Elend thought. That's an advantage I'll certainly never have.
Yeah, I think that leadership is not something that's for everybody. Mm-hmm. Like, if there's a strong leader, everyone's going to have an opinion about what they're doing, right?
Yep.
And what they're doing may look bad in certain... I'm not saying hurt people and did what the Lord Ruler did, but there are aspects of leadership that's not for everybody. You're going to have to think certain ways, and you're going to have to do certain things that not everybody would do. And at the end of the day, you have to think about what's best for all the people.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's just a human moment that Elend is having here.
And I'm glad he added that.
Where he's like, man, I was all for talking about the idea of like, you know, a fair, equitable government, but God damn it, is it hard to manage people. And it would be a lot easier if I could just, you know, lift my finger and whatever I say goes.
Yeah, I used to have a job where we worked with a lot of people, and me and my friend who worked with me, and we'd always joke, man, this job would be so much easier if there weren't any people. But we also wouldn't have a job without these people.
Yeah, exactly. So we are back in Ven's POV. We get some time on the roof with Ven, and we get to peek in her head to see the inner worries. She is running herself ragged with the weight of keeping Elend safe. At any moment, you know, an assassins could come from this army to try and kill him. She's a Mistborn. Normal weapons won't be able to take her down, but a single flick of a knife could kill Elend.
Yeah, he's such a weak character.
Oh yeah, he can't do anything.
And I love the fact that Elend knows this. He's not like a toxic dude trying to puff his chest and say, oh, I'm better than him. He's like, no, I know. Vin, can you protect me? I can't do it.
Well, even when they're like, hey, you should go spar to like train just so you can kind of defend yourself. And he's like, no, I would rather be here working on my little speech, my friend.
That's chapter 5, but yeah, it's a good example.
And Ven feels unworthy of his love. She's the street urchin of no noble upbringing, while he is the smart, compassionate, virtuous example for this new government. Even with the person she trusts the most, Ven isn't sure if she really belongs.
Yeah, which is a reminder of her dealing with the things that she's dealing with and going through old mental patterns and trying to deal with it.
Yeah, and interestingly enough, it happens when she's alone. When she doesn't have the soundtrack of her life
That's
going
real,
on,
Bo.
where you're
Bro,
hanging
that's
out
a
with
catchy
people.
Bo.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
When she's
real.
with
That's real life.
Yeah, when she's
That's why I don't like taking showers, man. I don't want to have my thought. I need a phone going in the background. I need to listen to something, turn on some music or something. I can't be alone. That's why I take my phone to the bathroom.
Yeah, you're like, that's why I smell so bad, because I don't like hearing my inner thoughts.
Have you ever pooped without having your phone? You might as well be.
Oh, are you
just
kidding
in
me?
The 30s or something.
No, of course not. Of course
And then
not.
all the demons come out. I feel you, Vin. She doesn't have a phone to distract her.
Oh, Jesus. Now I'm envisioning Vin pooping. Okay.
Don't do that.
We get a reminder of a few peculiar things about Vin. One, her ability to pierce copper clouds. Quote, a copper cloud wasn't a visible thing. It was far more vague, a pocket of deadened air where allomancers could burn their metals and not worry that bronze burners would be able to sense them. But Vin could sense allomancers who used metals inside a copper cloud. She still wasn't certain why. Even Kelsier, the most powerful allomancer she had known, hadn't been able to pierce a copper cloud. And it continues. With a sigh, she opened her eyes. Her strange power was confusing, but it wasn't unique to her. Marsh had confirmed that Steel Inquisitors could pierce copper clouds, and she was certain that the Lord Ruler had been able to do so as well. But why her? Why could Vin, a girl who barely had 2 years training as a Mistborn, do it?
So, if you remember correctly, Steel Inquisitors were created by the Lord Ruler out of seemingly Mistborns. Who knows?
Yeah, we don't know. We're not sure.
But they have been all killed off that we know about.
The ones around Luthadel have been.
I mean, we still have Marsh.
We still have Marsh,
Inquisitor, which is the brother of Kelsier.
Yeah, but there still are likely Inquisitors all throughout the world who are still around in some way.
And these were all created by the Lord Ruler?
That's the idea.
Okay, so no.
It could be a double bluff.
Answers again. God.
Steven, that's the thing. I'm the one who holds the cards here. I'm looking down at my hand. I've got pocket aces, and you're here over there with the 2-7 offsuit.
Hey, but I can bluff really well. I'm all in.
Okay. I feel like this is like, did you ever watch like World Series of Poker at 3 a.m. when you were in high school? Yeah.
Thinking I could play poker, and then I'm like, oh, wait, I don't see everybody else's cards, and I can't actually play poker.
She still remembered vividly the morning when she'd fought the Lord Ruler. There was something about that event that she hadn't told anyone, partially because it made her fear, just a bit, that the rumors and legends about her were true. Somehow, she'd drawn upon the mists, using them to fuel her allomancy instead of metals. It was only with that power, the power of the mists, that she had been able to beat the Lord Ruler in the end. She liked to tell herself that she had simply been lucky in figuring out the Lord Ruler's tricks, but there had been something strange that night, something she'd done, something she shouldn't have been able to do and had never been able to repeat. Steven, any ideas on this whole situation?
I don't know if there's tiers to these Mistborns or if there's something above a Mistborn. Maybe you could call it a god or something. I don't know. You can call it whatever you want. Maybe there's levels to Mistborn-ism.
And we do know that the Lord Ruler was so powerful because he combined allomancy and Feruchemy, which is what Sazed uses. So there are ways for those to interact together.
I wonder if, well, we already know about her father. I was going to say maybe he is a certain thing, and then the mother was a certain thing, and together that makes this concoction of Vin, who has powers from both sides. I don't know, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I guess that wouldn't be the case. But I'm leaning toward the whole, perhaps, it's definitely giving Chosen One vibes.
Yeah.
But maybe there's levels to this Mistborn thing.
Yeah, for sure. As she's thinking about Kelsier, Vin closes her eyes and goes back to burning bronze. And there's something there. Quote, Vin snapped her eyes open, flaring her tin. She spun and stopped against the rooftop to obscure her profile. There was someone out there burning metal. Bronze pulses thumped weakly, faint, almost unnoticeable, like someone playing drums very quietly. They were muffled by a copper cloud. The person, whoever it was, thought that their copper would hide them. She realizes the pulsars are actually coming from right in front of her on the rooftop. She studied the dark mists, glanced upward to be certain, then stood. This is the first time my bronze has been wrong, she thought with a frown. Then she saw it. Not something in the mists, but something of the mists. The figure stood a few feet away, easy to miss, for its shape was only faintly outlined by the mist, then gasped, stepping backward. The figure continued to stand where it was. She couldn't tell much about it. Its features were cloudy and vague, outlined by the chaotic churnings of wind-blown mist. If not for the form's persistence, she could have dismissed it, like the shape of an animal seen briefly in the clouds. But it stayed. Each new curl of the mist added definition to its thin body and long head, haphazard yet persistent. It suggested a human, but it lacked the watcher's solidity. It felt, looked wrong.
You know, have you ever seen the show Lost?
No, I have not.
Well, in the show, I'm sure there's many people listening that have. In the show Lost, there's this vague, smoky creature that comes out of the just nowhere and takes people, and it's giving that right now.
Oh, for sure. It's very mysterious.
Yeah, we're not supposed to know what it is currently.
We don't. The figure took a step forward, then reacted instantly, throwing a handful of coins and pushing them through the air. The bits of metal zipped forward in the mist, trailing streaks, and passed right through the shadowy figure. It stood for a moment. Then it simply puffed away, dissipating into the mist's random curls.
Puffed away. I like that. Puff. Just remind me of
Sometimes I wish I could just puff away.
I want to puff away. Puff away those problems, buddy.
We are back in Elend's POV. Elend is wrapping up yet more administrative work and looks over to a short letter from his father. Son, I trust you've enjoyed seeing after venture interests in Luthadel. I have secured the northern dominance and will shortly be returning to our keep in Luthadel. You may turn over control of the city to me at the time. King Strapventure.
Oh, God,
this guy is a fucking asshole. He has
this
me
guy.
heated.
No, he left. Okay, you don't get to come back and take over what you didn't want. You got scared. You went to go get the milk. But stay away, Dad.
But it's like, you know, people who are just jerks like that, they have this way of talking about things where they're like, oh, I'm in control here.
Yeah.
And there's nothing you can do about it. So just hand over the keys, buddy.
Yeah, he's saying it like it's fact when it's not.
Yeah.
He's like a narcissist.
He's very Tywin Lannister. If you've seen
That's
Game
a good
of
point.
Thrones.
Yeah. I'm glad how he ended, by the way.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Speaking of toilet.
Toilets, yeah.
Pooping away.
Didn't have a phone to distract him from that arrow in his chest.
Just his demons with him on the toilet. This is an insight into the new world order. The Lord Ruler is gone, yes, but someone always wants to fill the power vacuum. There's no shortage of noble assholes who want to stake their claim to ruling this new world. Vin leaps down from the skylight, checking in for the night. I love how right after hearing about Vin's insecurities, we get to see Elend's actual affection for her through his eyes. It helps us know as the reader, like Vin, you have nothing to worry about, basically.
But again, it's not her worrying about him. It's her not feeling like she deserves him.
Yeah, but if she could see herself through his eyes, I think it would really help. Vin, interestingly, confides in Elend that she saw the Watcher again tonight, but that she doesn't think he'd come for Elend, which is weird because if there's anyone to assassinate, it would be Elend. She also mentions the mist figure. And there's also a really sweet moment here. Quote, she let him hold her. At first, there was a slight stiffness to her posture. It was as if a piece of her still expected to be hurt, a primal sliver that couldn't understand that it was possible to be touched out of love rather than anger. But then she relaxed. Elend was one of the few she could do that around. When she held him, really held him, she clung with a desperation that bordered on terror. Despite her powerful skill as an allomancer and her stubborn determination, Vin was frighteningly vulnerable.
I love that. I love that whole paragraph. I don't want to look over the first line, which says she let him hold her.
Yes.
Which shows you, okay, she's in power. This is not coming on her like some force. She's having a moment. I'm allowing him to hold me.
Well, and she this is just like so beautifully written because it's like when you are used to survival mode, when you're literally your nervous system tells you every day, like you have to fight to survive. It takes real effort and real change in circumstances to be able to get to a more comfortable place. And we are getting to see her process that in real time.
This character is very human and I like it. It's a good character to identify with, man or woman, if that's what you are. You get to see the intricacies of life, pain, suffering, and all that good stuff.
Yeah. No, it's great. And what I love about it is like Brandon is a 50-year-old white dude. Like he has never been Vin, but he's able
Yeah.
to write her in a way that it's like, oh, this is somebody who knows this character inside and out.
There's a stigma, especially in romantasy books from their readers specifically, that men can't write good female characters or women characters.
Yeah.
And in this case, Brandon Sanderson is doing a pretty good job, I think.
Yeah, he does. I think he has some struggles earlier in his career, but I think he really comes into his own, and especially Mistborn and the Stormlight Archive. There's some incredible female characters as well. Anyways, by the way, Elend flippantly mentions that there was a rejected marriage proposal from him to Vin in his inner monologue. That was such like a flippant way for him to drop that bomb on us as readers.
Yeah. It was very quick. If you blink, you'd miss it.
Yeah, it's like, oh, by the way, she rejected my marriage proposal. It's no big deal.
Like, oh, wait, back up. What happened?
Yeah. Who wrote this? Ham comes in and lets Elend know they've identified the assassins from tonight. They actually likely weren't sent by Straff. Instead, they came from the west, likely Phaedrex City, sent by a man Ashweather Set, who had set himself up as, quote, the king of the Western dominance. Steven, please give us the epigraph for Chapter 4.
Perhaps they are right. Perhaps I'm mad, or jealous, or simply daft. My name is Quan, philosopher, scholar.
Quan! I love Quan. I miss that guy.
Quan?
We've never really actually met him, but I just love his name.
So this is the first introduction that I have of Quan.
No. He's mentioned in some of the epigraphs in the logbook in Book 1.
Oh. He didn't play a pivotal role, though.
No, not really to our knowledge at this point.
Okay, but we're reintroduced to him, so perhaps in the future. My name is Quan, philosopher, scholar, traitor. Ooh. I am the one who discovered Elend, and I am the one who first proclaimed him to be the hero of ages. I am the one who started all of this. All right, okay. Quan is going to have a pivotal role because Quan is saying this.
He was essentially the prophet. He was the one who proclaimed that Elend, the guy that the Lord Ruler murdered, it was supposed to be the hero of ages.
So this is Quan.
Yeah, you're right. This is Quan.
So who's saying these things? It's Quan.
To our knowledge.
Here, stop with the vagueness. Just let me have my moment. Oh, man. And this one epigraph is Quan.
Yeah.
And he's the one that started all this, okay?
One would think.
Quan would think.
Quan would think.
Stupid.
One more thing.
One more thing. Yeah.
Okay, we are now in my boy Sayzed's POV.
Here we go.
After wrapping up a fun Friday night of laser tag. Just kidding. Sayzed is in the Eastern Dominance investigating the death of a villager. According to the witness who saw the death of this poor guy named Jed, he was working his fields. Then all of a sudden he froze, had something that resembled a seizure, and then died. And, more mysterious still, the witness had just noticed the mist out during the day before Jed died. And just a reminder, we only see the mist out at night up until this point. So this is a huge development.
Okay, that's like seeing like a coyote in the daytime. You're like, okay, something's off about this animal.
Yeah, be like, I saw a coyote out during the daytime and something's off. Now I'm just imagining these ska with like these hillbilly accents. Yeah, I was just watching Jed and then he up and died. And then the mist came out, sir.
That was what I thought about in book 1 whenever this random guy comes up and says, I saw Kelsier. He's back from the dead. He told me these things. I just pictured that accent.
I saw Kelsier. He's back from the dead.
He's back from the dead. I got a word from Kelsier.
As Sayzed appraises the corpse, we learn that this is not the first time he has heard reports of the mist being out during the day. We then cut to Sayzed burying Jed and giving him a proper burial according to the customs of one of the many religions logged in his copper mine. Now, Jed is a perfect subject for Sayzed because this guy isn't alive to reject any of the religions that he tries to foist upon him. He calls to attention the predicament the world is now in. Yes, the Lord Ruler was a tyrant, but there was a level of stability to the way of things with him in power. Now, despite these ska being free, their struggles have been amplified in other ways. Many common folk are struggling to stay alive from a lack of food, and even worse, without the policing of the empire by the Lord Ruler, other tyrants and thieves are coming into other areas and looting and stealing possessions and food from normal people.
Yeah, back to our point about becoming a leader out of theories alone.
Yeah.
You miss a lot of things that you didn't previously know about.
Yeah. Exactly. So, in classic Sazed fashion, he can't help himself. He's going to teach these people about a religion, goddammit. As he starts to offer up the religion that he used for Jed's burial rites, he's met with complete confusion. All the Ska can muster is to ask, when is the Lord Ruler coming back? The Lord Ruler was a monster, but to them, he was God. Their entire worldview has been upended. Sazed thinks, quote, the Keepers spent 1,000 years gathering and memorizing the dying religions of the world, Sazed thought. Who would have thought that now, with the Lord Ruler gone, people wouldn't care enough to want what they'd lost? Yet he found it hard to think ill of these people. They were struggling to survive. Their already harsh world suddenly made unpredictable. They were tired. Was it any wonder that talks of belief long forgotten failed to interest them?
I thought that was interesting when the Ska says, when is the Lord Ruler coming back?
Yeah.
Because we end book 1 with the vague assumption that perhaps there's going to be a greater enemy. But also, this is good news, guys.
Yeah.
The bad guy's dead.
Yeah.
But people are kind of missing him right now, and they shouldn't be.
And that's the thing. It's like, yeah, you've been gathering these religions from 1,000 years ago, but these people have no connection to them. And all they know is, yes, they live these terrible lives, but their only real source of like stability and food was the Lord Ruler. And so, religion is a great thing, but when practically it comes down to survival and making sure that you're able to have enough food to live, like religion can only do so much.
Yeah. How far is Sazed at this point in the story from Luthadel?
He's quite a bit of ways. He's in a different
So
dominance,
the effects of the Lord Ruler are being felt just
everywhere. Yeah.
everywhere.
Yeah. And with that, Sazed drops the religion thing for once in his life and moves to teaching them more practical things that can be of use to them as they try to survive. Stephen, please give us the epigraph for chapter 5.
And I am the only one who betrayed him, for I know that he must never be allowed to complete his quest. Was that Quan?
Quan, was that you?
Quan, was that you who said them words at the epigraph?
All right, we are back in Vin's POV. Vin is walking through the streets of Luthadel, and we get to see firsthand the challenges of the new way of order. It's interesting to me how the markets went from catering to a more upper-class noble clientele to more like a street market. There's like everyone's bustling around. There's all kinds of stores out there that anyone can shop at, as opposed to being this like high class kind of thing. She comes up to a dress shop with lavish gowns like she would have worn during her ball missions in Kelsier's crew. And despite everything, we are still seeing the inner conflict with Vin between who she is on the outside and finding that inner sense of belonging. But she notices a man and eventually a small group of people following her. They're priests of the Survivor, from the religion that Kelsier founded through his escapades, the Church of the Survivor. They're looking to Vin for guidance, calling her Lady Air. And this is interesting because Kelsier had this grand plan, right? I mean, it was incredible, all the things that he thought ahead on. But his plan kind of stopped after the Lord Ruler's death. He didn't think about like, oh, once this is all over, how are we going to make sure that everyone is okay?
Yeah, he just thought it would solve itself.
Yeah. And more than anything, it affects, yes, the everyday people, but it also really affects the people that were on his crew as well, who became legends in the eyes of the broader populace.
Because it makes sense that the broader populace would be coming to them for answers because they were a part of this grand plan, seemingly.
Exactly. This all becomes too much, and Vin bolts away to escape the crowd. She comes across another shop that is selling puppies! Finally, we have puppies in Mistborn. She thinks for a moment and asks for the meanest, most fearsome wolfhound of all. She buys the dog and then knocks it out, which I don't love, by bopping it on top of the head, and brings it back to Orsur and tells him that this is his new body.
Yeah, let me say this. I don't like when people get knocked out in any movies or any books, because it's not that easy. You don't just go to sleep and then you wake up later.
Yeah.
There's like a whole thing that happens. You may even kind of still be conscious. It's not that quick.
Yeah, they're like, oh, I hit you in the head one time, and then you wake up and you're like, you've been out for 8 hours. And
yeah,
you,
that's not, if that was the case, I'd have somebody punch me every night before I go to sleep.
Yeah, exactly. Just make it stop.
Maybe I'll get 8 hours finally.
So anyways, we got to talk about how this is like a massive L for Vin, by the way. I mean, it's just like, I get it. I get that it's a different world. I get it's a mean dog, but like the animal abuse, I'm not vibing with.
I honestly thought this was the beginning of maybe she's going to tame this wolf and it becomes an animal sidekick. Everybody loves an animal sidekick.
Oh, for sure.
Not the case, as we're about to find
It'll
out.
literally the exact opposite of what's going to happen. As she leaves Orsur, she receives a package from a man named Terion containing a mixture of aluminum and copper, something that he calls duralumin. And so it's interesting because he's been trying to like kind of make these new different metals and discover them.
So is this a new metal we're learning about right now?
That's the idea. If it
Duralium?
works. Duralumin.
Okay.
We're now in Elend's quarters, and after a quick conversation with Doxson, who apparently is still not a big fan of Elend, Vin is left alone once more with Elend. I love this moment where they're kissing and cuddling, and Elend asks her if she's wearing a new perfume, and Vin says, no, it's just dog smell.
I was going to bring that up if you didn't. That was hilarious. Like, well, that was out of the blue, buddy.
That was
you don't know much about perfumes, I guess.
Exactly.
Or dogs, for that matter.
Yeah. And then we get into the crux of why Vin doesn't really trust or care for Orsur. Mainly the fact that he ate Kelsier. Listen, I get it. But that's what Kelsier literally asked him to do. Yeah. And he was already dead.
Yeah. You can't fault him because he wanted his ashes sprinkled in this way.
Yeah. This Contra was just doing his damn job, man.
It's part of the contract.
We now get some insight into Elend's insecurities as king. He feels like deep down, everyone really wishes that Kelsier was in his spot. He also wonders why Vin wasn't in love with Kelsier instead. This is kind of weird and not a cute look for Elend, in my opinion. Like, this is like...
Well, I can get what he's saying in terms of like the spending time together, and it's a different time period. Maybe that's the case. There's the everybody has jealousy. And so we're just getting to see Elend as a jealous character. I think that's the point of this being introduced here.
Yeah, I guess so. But Vin's response is this, quote, there were things about him, Elend, frightening things. He was intense, reckless, even a bit cruel, unforgiving. He'd slaughter people without guilt or concern, simply because they upheld the final empire or worked for the Lord Ruler. So essentially, she had the ick for Kelsier because he would murder people.
There's a specific part in this description of things that she hates about Kelsier.
Okay.
And she says, quote, he is ancient. And then Elend says, he's only 38. And I wanted to punch Vin in the... I'm not 38, but I'm getting there at some point soon. I'm 36. Don't yell at me like I'm a freaking fossilized T-Rex arm or something. I'm not ancient.
God. That's hilarious. There's a great exchange here as well. Quote, she closed her eyes, feeling Elend's warmth. You, Elend Venture, are a good man, a truly good man. Good men don't become legends, he said quietly. Good men don't need to become legends. She opened her eyes, looking up at him. They simply do what's right anyway. This is a great quote.
That was a good quote. I liked that. So, Vin, you take that. You had an L for punching a dog. Now you get a little bit of a W for having a good quote. Yeah. It's about to be stripped from you, though.
Elend mentions how Kel saved him once, that he had started to change toward the end. Vin is doubtful, but as readers, we know that Elend's read on the situation is true because in that moment when Kelsier did save Elend, we were in Kelsier's POV and he was essentially like, God damn it, she loves him. I can't let him die, basically.
God damn it, Elend.
But back to the duralumin metal Vin got today. After Ham joins Vin and Elend, she decides to test the metal to see if it really is the alloy of aluminum that they've been searching for. She burns the metal and nothing. But she doesn't get a nasty headache like she has from the previous tries. So she knows it's the right combination of metals, but she just can't tell what it's actually doing. And with that, Ham asks Vin if she wants to go sparring, and Vin and Elend join him. All right, Steven, will you please read the epigraph for Chapter 6?
I write this record now, pounding it into a metal slab because I am afraid. Afraid for myself, yes. I admit to being human. If Elend does return from the Well of Ascension, I am certain that my death will be one of his first objectives. He's not an evil man, but he is a ruthless one. That is, I think, a product of what he has been through.
Vin and Ham are sparring together with spears as Elend watches on a bit awkwardly, but he's quickly joined by Clubs, who gives him some updates. 1, Spook is back, yay! 2, the city's army that Clubs is responsible for training isn't exactly doing too hot. It's made up of mostly inexperienced soldiers, so they wouldn't fare well against Straff's army if they had to fight. Their conversation is cut short by none other than Spook announcing himself. He was hiding in plain sight, dressed as a soldier with a fake beard. And he's hot now. Or at least he's really grown past that awkward teenage phase and speaking perfectly intelligibly instead of the Eastern street slang we're used to.
Did you have a glow-up moment?
Ooh. Oh, yeah. Well, it didn't happen when I was like a teenager. It happened when I was like in 5th grade. Like I grew up as a very chubby kid, but then 5th grade, all of a sudden, I just like, whoop. I just like became a beanpole basically. And now I'm somewhere in between. So like, I think I found a happy medium.
When I was, this was like late 90s, early 2000s when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I had a chili bowl haircut. And I had these this is back when glasses weren't popular. Now I wear glasses and everybody's like, you slutty little glasses person. Yeah. Okay, calm down. Where were you at in my childhood? That's the best you weren't in my childhood, actually. But the point is, I had a glow up over a summer. I grew literally a foot over a summer and was very, very tall and started wearing contacts. So I think when my son was born is really when I started working out and stuff. So I look like more of a human being because I was 6'4" and weighed 145.
Oh my God.
As a teenager and an early adult. Yeah, I was a skeleton walking around. Now I resemble, a chondra who has just ate a person.
The sparring match ends with a Vin victory, and now the gang is mostly back together, barring Breeze and Dachshund. We're now back in Vin's POV. Vin and Elend make their way back to her rooms, and who's waiting there for them? None other than Orsur in his new wolfhound form. I will say, I like all the moral objections we have to this. The fact that Vin now has a talking wolf as a companion is pretty badass.
Yeah, we just glossed over the fact that the wolf is dead. He killed the wolf and ate the wolf. So that animal sidekick, forget that. We just kicked that animal to the side, seemingly.
Yeah.
But now the chondra is the animal sidekick. Cool, I guess. I feel bad for the pup.
I do too. Orsur is pretty clear with Vin that he is not a fan of this new body, calling it offensive and degrading. But he assures her that he will maintain it because he would never break, quote, the contract. Vin breaks the news to Orsur that due to Elend's protestations, they'll be spending a lot more time together. So it's time for them to test out his new body and how well he can keep up. And we will pick up on the next chapter next week. Now, Steven, it is time for us to give our winners and losers of the week. So, Steven, as my vague pupil, I will allow you to give your winner and loser first. Please, let us know.
It's funny. I had my winners and losers, and then I saw yours, and I'm like, okay, the student has become the teacher because we have the same freaking thing, kind of. But I'll give you mine.
Okay.
All right. So the winner of the week, I think, is Spook because he took off his glasses, let down his hair, and now he's like the freaking better version of himself. I'll give him that win. A little glow up that happened.
Okay.
Well done. Maybe he's hitting the gym. Maybe he used some teeth whitener. I don't know, but he's more attractive in this book, at least. I wonder if he plays a pivotal role in the future.
Perhaps.
Is he, what kind of a plot twist would this be? He's the Watcher? Because we know he had a thing for Vin in the first. He's not the Watcher.
He's literally watching, yeah.
he's the stalker. And now it's weird. So I'll give that to Spook just for his little glow up there. I'm going to give the loser to Vin because she killed a pup. And the reason I say this is because, have you ever seen John Wick?
No, but I know what you're going to say.
The whole movie of John Wick is killing everyone because someone killed his dog. And the whole time you're watching this show, you're like, yeah, every one of these people deserves to die because that puppy's life mattered. I don't care about humans. I care about dogs. Yeah, Vin, you just killed a dog.
Yeah.
You are the loser. Yeah, it's probably going to be cool in the future and you have a nice asset now in the chondra that's a wolf. But it still hurts right here.
I agree. And listen, I mean, my winner and loser were the exact same as yours for the exact same reasons. This was like a pretty black and white set of chapters, essentially. Yeah. Okay, now, Steven, it is time for you to reach into your foggy, foggy crystal ball and let us know what you think is going to happen next in this book.
It's hard to tell because I didn't know we were headed in book 1.
Right.
And then we just kind of figured it out along the way. I was trying to give vague answers because I had no idea. But I'll say we're going to learn about the Well of Ascension. We're going to learn what it is.
Yeah.
By the end of this book, we'll have a big grasp on that.
Okay.
Hopefully. I feel like maybe we're going to get a glimpse into some aspect of Kelsier's past. I don't know. Maybe they find a note or a book, or maybe it's just a flashback moment.
Yeah.
Something of Kelsier will be uncovered. I feel like I said many times in this podcast, the Watcher is going to become either a love interest or someone to just make you think it's a love interest. He has a thing for Vin and they're going to chat at some point and she's going to turn eyes toward him and it's going to be an issue. Okay. So there's going to be that, a love triangle, if you will. And Somebody's going to lose a leg. I'm kidding. I'm not going to do that again. That was book one and it never happened. I feel like we're going to get betrayed soon.
Okay, interesting.
Let me even say this. Book one took a while to shift into something unpredictable because there was a lot of world building on this. We have less world building now. I feel like we're going to be off to the races much quicker.
Okay, everybody, that is it for episode 1 of our deep dive of Well of Ascension. Thank you all so much for your support throughout last season, and we can't wait to see what we have in store for this season. It's going to be so much fun.
Yes. Also, please be sure to give us a 5-star rating and review on your podcast platform, and give us a follow on Instagram and TikTok at Fantasy Fanfellas.
And one more reminder to go ahead and check out the link in the description if you're interested in joining the Fantasy Fan Club so that you can directly support the show. And lastly, if you loved this episode and you are here for Spooks Glow Up, this is the perfect episode to share with your fellow fantasy-loving friends. Okay, see you all next week for chapters 7 through 11. Bye!
Ka-chink.